Classic Conversations is brought to you by Palm Springs Life magazine, celebrating 50 years of bringing art and culture to Southern California.
The Michael H. Lord Gallery in Palm Springs is proud to support public television. Learn more about our paintings, photography, and sculpture at michaelhlordgallery.com or at our North Palm Canyon location. Michael H. Lord Gallery, an oasis of contemporary art since 1978.
The Camelot Theaters, bringing you retrospective, documentary, and art films, foreign and award-winning motion pictures. And the following: Dr. Betty Baxter, certified life coach and consultant. Cash Baxter. The Betty M. Barker Trust. SERP and John Conte Foundation. The Stephen Philibosian Foundation, supporting the arts and the Virginia Waring International Piano Competition. Dorothy and Harold Meyerman, supporting the arts and the Palm Springs Art Museum. The Coachella Valley History Museum, sharing the unique history of the desert and its pioneers. The Dr. Carrion Foundation, providing scholarships for Coachella Valley Mexican-American students.
Hi, everybody. You know, it is such a pleasure to have as my guest Barbara Simth Conrad. She is someone who has sung all over the world, the Metropolitan Opera, all the great opera and concert stages, not only in the United States, but throughout the world, in all countries, overseas, everywhere. Her story is absolutely as amazing as her voice. You know, Barbara, your story is amazing. In fact, I must say that recently PBS did a documentary called When I Rise, and it's all about your life, your career, and it's an extraordinary one.
It sometimes overwhelms me, but I have people who keep me grounded, like Nancy, like Patsy. I wouldn't have had this kind of career without people giving me love and support and teaching me what to do with this instrument that I have.
But if we can go back in the beginning,
you certainly
because I think we have to follow the pattern of your life if we can a little bit. And you grew up in this very small town in Texas.
Not even a town.
Okay.
10 miles out in the country, no electricity, no running water, none of that.
Yeah.
But unbelievably forward-thinking people who were determined that we were going to be educated. We had no such thing in the state of Texas at that point.
Would you say no such thing?
No
Do you
such
mean
thing.
as an African American?
That's right.
Yeah.
If you got into a school, you were lucky. It was
Of
rare.
any sort?
Of any sort.
Isn't that extraordinary?
We weren't considered as necessary.
Horrible.
But fast forward, because the man who was the principal of the school and his wife, who was my grandfather actually, but she was a forward thinker. Forward thinker.
This is the school in this little town.
This is not a town. We were in the country.
Yeah, but it was a country school.
It was definitely a country
And then you
school.
went to the Baptist church and you sang there.
Baptist church is where everybody congregated.
Yeah.
But we were just lucky that in my family we had a lot of gifted musicians. A sister with a glorious soprano voice, a brother, Patsy, who Patsy actually works with some. And little by little, we got to know what it was like to do that kind of work, to be that kind of an artist.
Yeah, but then, which is so extraordinary, when it was time to go to continue your education, University of Texas?
Not right away. I went to Prairie View A&M College first.
Oh.
It was an all-black school near Houston. And then the University of Texas integrated that second year.
Right.
And that's when I really got to know University of Texas.
So, okay, now you went to that school, and although you were going to classes, you were not allowed to stay on campus, correct?
Nope, no way.
Yeah, isn't that awful? And how did you react to that?
Oh, I have a terrible temper. That was my way of dealing with most people.
Yeah, yeah.
You don't like me, I don't like you very much either, no.
But then here you had this glorious voice, and you
I didn't even know I had a glorious voice. I knew I liked to sing.
Right.
but I had loving people, from those who came from the era of slavery all through. My grandmother had a glorious voice. So did my mother. So did my sister. My brother could play almost anything in any key.
Yeah.
And I just sort of
So then
slurped it up.
you went to Texas
University of Texas, when it integrated.
Yeah. But you were the second class then, not the first.
I was the first.
The first class that was integrated. And you went into the music department. And then you were at
Absolutely.
home, right?
That's home. But I had it, because if you're with a family that has these gifts and they swirl around your house all the time, that's what you do.
Right.
And there was the interscholastic league that Texas had, which was a very smart thing to do, especially for kids like myself who had no other way to get there.
Yeah.
So they would have all these competitions, things like that.
But when you went to the college and you auditioned and you got the lead.
We had a woman there by the name of Josephine Antoine, who was a Metropolitan Opera diva who later went to the University of Texas to teach. When she heard me sing, they were doing Dido and Aeneas, and that's when I began to discover what other things might take me to other places.
Right. But anyway, you did get that lead, and then it became a cause célèbre, so to speak, in Texas. And it is so extraordinary, and I'm sure you don't want to go back and repeat and repeat and repeat, but it is a part of your life.
Oh,
you know.
You can't get around that part of your life.
Yeah. And
because you have to learn to live with yourself first and what's around you and see what you can do.
Yeah. But then you were taken out of the part because your color of your skin was darker than mine.
Yeah.
So what? It's not that much darker. But anyway,
But let's move back, because I would like to give honor where honor is due. A lot of my professors were very much in my favor.
Yeah.
A lot of the people in the communities around us, white, black, and otherwise, once that message got out that there was a young girl who wanted to be an opera diva, that's all I needed to know. I could go and do what I needed to do. And luckily, being surrounded with people who were musicians, like my brother, like my sister, like my mother, I could manage.
But you were taken out of the role that you were so right for.
Yeah.
By the legislature of your own
Well,
county.
that's why that cover that you're looking at right
When I
there.
Rise, yeah.
Yes. This was an incredible moment for me.
When they honored you afterwards, because there's the thing, and that they honored you because after you had this tremendous success.
Well, by that time I was, I had a very good reputation in the business.
Yeah.
And I had met people like Patsy, who really got my motor on.
Yeah. But it's so interesting. Harry Belafonte wanted to help you.
That's my hero.
Yeah.
My hero.
And he said, I'll put you
He
in
read
any
about me
other
in the New
school.
York Times.
Yeah.
And called me to offer me whatever he could do to help.
Yeah.
And little by little, I got to know him. He set up a great interview with some leading divas and divos and conductors and so forth. And little by little, the career grows. And I've never looked back.
But one of your heroes, I guess, was Marian Anderson. And you were taken as a child to see her sing, right, by your mother.
Absolutely. Mama's mission in life was to make sure that one of her missions was that we ate well and that we had every opportunity possible to be exposed.
Yeah. So then, many flash forward, when you actually were asked in a movie about the Roosevelts
I know,
to
that was
play
such
the
an
role
exciting
and
time.
sing the role of Marian Anderson
I thought I was so good.
at Constitution Hall.
At Constitution
and
Hall.
then they filmed it with lots of people in there and
Well,
everything.
what was interesting, and I've said this, I repeat myself, when I left the University of Texas, I really had no interest to go back or see anybody practically there except the few people who were so in my corner. And standing up on top of Constitution Hall up there, I thought, I don't know what to do with this. But I've always been an actress like some other people in this room. And I knew what I wanted to. All I had was this memory of University of Texas and what it had done to my innards. And I am very grateful I'd had that opportunity, because I knew then that I had to learn how to stand up and be counted.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And so just as Marian Anderson was denied singing in Constitution Hall by the DAR, the memory of you being taken out of the part.
Yeah. It was weird.
It probably would be.
But there's a funny part of this story, too, because there was a man who applauded, oh, Miss Anderson, you haven't...
He said Miss Anderson to you?
Yes, you haven't aged a little, even a little bit. I'll never forget that.
That's funny, that's marvelous.
But it was a great moment.
Of course. Okay, so now traveling all over the world and doing opera, and you were the first mezzo-soprano. To
the Wagner Festival.
Yeah. Yeah. And Wagner, the music of Wagner is important to you.
Well, here comes Patricia Sage, who convinced me very quickly that is something I should pursue or take a look at.
Is that when you were younger, before you sang?
No, we hadn't met in that era. But I learned through her and because of her what it takes to do those roles. And that was a great, great experience for me. Because I really didn't have any great interest in Wagner. I wasn't brought up with any of it until I met her.
Yeah. And so what do you have favorite roles?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Any mezzo has a favorite role. You gotta love Carmen, you gotta love those girls. Samson, Dalila, those kinds of roles.
Right.
Because they speak to who yourself, what's inside of you.
Now, do you find that audiences are different around the world? When you would
They probably are. They probably are. I don't pay a whole lot of attention to audiences unless they have something specific they want to say.
Yeah.
Meaning, if you like to sing and you want to sing, then sing. If you don't want to sing, then don't do this work, because it's too hard.
But you have to be almost like an athlete in training.
No, you have to be an athlete.
Okay.
You really do.
Yeah, yeah.
And I learned so much from Patsy. Patsy is a superb singer herself, musician, pianist, unbelievable, knows all those scores.
Well, before this is over, we're going to go to the piano and we're going to hear and maybe you can do something. I know you started out with spirituals before you were doing opera.
I don't know what I did first. Honestly, I'm being honest with you. I live with an aunt and uncle in West Texas.
Yeah.
And whatever I could hear to sing from the radio, that's what I sang. I have no idea what that was.
But there was somebody, didn't you study with somebody that was an expert from spirituals?
Paul Johnson.
Yeah.
Oh, my hero.
Yeah.
Yeah, him.
All right, so what did he
teach me?
Yeah.
When I first sang for him, he said, well, now that was very interesting, child, but that ain't what I wrote. I learned a lot.
Yeah.
He would get me up at 5 o'clock in the evening and come over and practice with my brother Denard at that time. And you had to sing them right. If you're going to sing them right.
Yeah, the way they were written.
the way they were written.
But like, what do you think if you ever watch some of the football games? I don't know if you do, when they do the Star Spangled Banner, and I don't recognize the melody sometimes.
I bet you don't.
It's hard
I
to say.
did at the University of Texas a couple of times.
Yeah.
And her nephew, who unfortunately passed away, said, "Beezer, now that's how you should sing the Star Spangled Banner." He's left us by now, but I always, every time I hear it, I think about him.
You also were invited by President Reagan to sing for
How
Lucy
you like them
Johnson's
apples, girl?
75th birthday,
I
right?
thought I was hot
What?
stuff. No, I was I was in Italy,
Yeah.
and they flew me over for her birthday. And I think that the thing that I remember most is my niece's little boy sat in this big cushy chair, and he said, "Now this is what a president should look like." He was
How
about
cute.
7 years old.
How adorable.
But the sweetest moment probably of that day was when Lady Bird jumped up on the chair because I had sung one of their favorite
and she-
songs.
And she was so thrilled. What was that?
I don't
You were,
remember. I learned it on the plane coming to New York or coming to Washington, D.C.
yeah.
But I became very good, close friends to them.
And then, of course, there again is the proof of where Texas is your home. Texas was your
Texas
home,
really
and
is.
remains that, even though there was a slight, a bleep in your life and career there.
It was what it is.
Yeah.
And it's not that much different now, but you just learn how to deal with it.
It isn't?
No.
That's scary.
You should be scared
That is frightening.
because there's a lot of angry people in the world. I'm sure you've met a few.
It's sad.
It is.
Yeah.
But there's always something good to circumvent.
Right.
Something evil like that. Make good music. That helps.
yeah,
right there.
And that's been your life.
That has been my
Now
life. It's been her life.
Now you are doing something this summer, which has to do with Wagner. So you
Yep.
don't quit, even though you had this great
Well,
career.
I cannot take much, I've been there in the throes of things, but this is Patsy's passion.
The Wagner. So what is it that you're going to do?
Me,
Yeah.
stand over and be sure things work well. I don't know.
You're doing it in the park?
In the park.
In New York?
In
the
New
park.
York. It's very exciting.
So there'll be a Wagnerian program?
She can answer that better than I
Okay.
can. That's her
So-
baby.
Yeah. But you are teaching now. You give master classes, don't you?
I haven't done any lately,
Oh, really?
but I will again. I
Yeah.
had some surgery. Took a while.
Well, giving advice to other singers, though, when you were doing it.
Learn your craft.
Okay.
Above all, learn your craft. Be good to your fellow singers. Be ready to reach out and help. That was my Glück. That was why I was so lucky.
Mm-hmm.
That lady on that film,
On the PBS special.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I just had a lot of support.
And what was the last thing? And then I'm going to ask you if we can go over to the piano, and she can play something, and maybe you'll even give us a little tiny,
A little rendition.
a real something. But there are so many people who want to give up in life, and it's not easy, and you know it's not easy. So what would you say to encourage a young person who would like a career like yours, if they have the voice?
Yeah, you have to start with that, I guess.
Yeah.
But you have to have you first have to have a dream of some sort. I can't remember, probably 4 or 5 that I started to sing in my great aunt and uncle's backyard in West Texas. I just like to sing.
Yeah.
And that's what I did all the time.
Yeah. But you didn't give up as far as following a
No.
profession.
No. But But the whole family was like that.
Now, you worked with Salt Yurok, who was one of the great managers of all time.
Sure did.
And where did he hear you the first time?
He only heard me a couple of times, and then he became ill,
Oh,
so I didn't get to.
yeah.
But he was pretty wonderful.
Well, he has a great reputation.
Yeah.
Okay, we're going to go over to the piano.
Alrighty.
Patricia Sage has been a friend, a mentor, pianist for Barbara for 44 years?
Yes, that is where I met Barbara when I was going back to Europe and she was coming from Europe. And I looked up and thought, my God, it's the king and queen. And I've never changed my mind.
That's marvelous. All right.
Best.
Yeah, now, the thing that we were talking about your Wagnerian, what you started that's going to be this summer in New York. So would you share that with our viewers?
Well, Barbara and I have had opportunities that a lot of young American singers and musicians have not had. We were able to go to Europe and have long years of working in their theater system there. When we came back to this country, we found the same conditions that had sent us to Europe in the first place. No theater system, nothing, no opportunities for young musicians. Well, that motivated us to start our own company, the American Center for Musical Arts, which is having its Wagner program in Harlem this summer. We work with the Harlem School of Arts, and we're going to be in Marcus Garvey Park, which is in the Central Park system of New York. And we're going to have 50, help us, children on that stage, along with our singers, because this is the audience of the future.
That's so wonderful.
And they are going to be responding to the music of Wagner, The Ring, all 4 operas in a shortened version. Wagner is made for kids.
That's just magnificent, actually, that you're doing that.
It's a first for Harlem.
Yeah. Now, how are you going to do it? I mean, the sets can be so extraordinary in a Wagnerian opera.
Well, they have rebuilt the park system in Marcus Garvey Park, and we will have sets. We will also have a 90-piece orchestra with a lot of orchestra players who have played it at the Metropolitan Opera, mentoring our kids who have done it for a first time. And we're thrilled about that.
We also have a great conductor who's going to be.
David Gilbert is just the best. He's just wonderful. He was with Leonard Bernstein at the Philharmonic for 10 years and is just a wonderful conductor.
Well, I just think it's an extraordinary program. And I do want to say that Barbara and Patricia both were here, I think, as guests of Opera Arts, which put on quite a program and had several days of events going on honoring Barbara. Over the Temple Isaiah showed the PBS special When I Rise and so many other things. So before we say goodbye to all of you, I'm going to walk over here and I'm going to ask you, Patricia, if maybe When I Rise or some wonderful spiritual Barbara you would leave us so we leave in a great mood.
Let's give it a whirl.
Thank you. Thank you both so much. Thank you, Barbara. Thank you, Patricia.
And you know, this has really been kind of an exciting weekend here in Palm Springs because Barbara came out and Patricia from New York, and Barbara was honored so many times. Her PBS special, When I Rise, was shown, I believe, at Temple Isaiah and several other places. And I know Barbara received a Lifetime Achievement Award, and both Barbara and Patricia were the guests of Opera Arts. And then they attended an event in Barbara's honor.
It's great to be in an environment that cares about youth, cares about great music, and above all, bringing something exciting to your community. I'm proud to be let in a little bit.
It's really been great to have you both here, and I hope to see all of you. I hope you enjoyed our show, and we'll see you the next time. Classic Conversations is brought to you by Palm Springs Life magazine, celebrating 50 years of bringing art and culture to Southern California.
The Michael H. Lord Gallery in Palm Springs is proud to support public television. Learn more about our paintings, photography, and sculpture at michaelhlordgallery.com or at our North Palm Canyon location. Michael H. Lord Gallery, an oasis of contemporary art since 1978.
The Camelot Theaters, bringing you retrospective documentary and art films, foreign and award-winning motion pictures. And the following: Dr. Betty Baxter, certified life coach and consultant. Cash Baxter. The Betty M. Barker Trust. SERP and John Conte Foundation. The Stephen Philibosian Foundation, supporting the arts and the Virginia Waring International Piano Competition. Dorothy and Harold Meyerman, supporting the arts and the Palm Springs Art Museum. The Coachella Valley History Museum, sharing the unique history of the desert and its pioneers. The Dr. Carrion Foundation, providing scholarships for Coachella Valley Mexican-American students.